Did you know you can travel from Washington, D.C. to Charleston, South Carolina, spend the whole day in Charleston, and then get back to D.C. the next morning, all without driving or flying? Let us show you how using the Amtrak Silver Meteor. Hey everyone, welcome to a brand new video. I'm Tom, and about 5 minutes ago I just got my master's degree. And exactly 24 hours from now, Lindsay and I are attending a friend's wedding. Thing is, it's in Charleston, South Carolina. It sounds like we'll be needing the help of our friend Amtrak. After changing at home and taking the metro, we arrive at Union Station. Washington Union Station is where we will begin our trip on the Silver Meteor. This building opened in 1907 as part of a big redesign of the way the railroad tracks were laid out across the nation's capital. One of the most beautiful station buildings in the world in my opinion, and I always love starting a journey here. There are also plenty of opportunities to get some food before you go. The Silver Meteor does have the option to check in baggage at some stations, including at Washington, but that's not a service that we use today. Tonight we are taking the overnight train. We're taking the Silver Meteor from Washington, D.C. to Charleston, South Carolina. Really excited about this. It's the first time that I've been on this train, first time for Lindsay to be on this train. We're gonna ride in coach and show you what it's like. Today I'm traveling with the very best, Lindsay.
Hello.
So we were gonna go check out the waiting area that's in the old Uniqlo, but he told us that they're about to announce it's Gate J and gave us a head start, so that's nice. We haven't done one of these in a while.
I know, I'm very excited.
Even though we have to wake up at 4:30 in the morning.
That's okay.
The Silver Meteor doesn't originate in Washington, D.C., but in New York. An electric locomotive took it down from New York to D.C., and while we were waiting, Amtrak staff was switching the electric locomotive out for a diesel one, and then they let all the sleeping car passengers board first from the station lounge. Soon, though, it was our turn. And as we took the escalator down to the low-level platforms of Union Station, Lindsay pointed out to me that there was a very special locomotive waiting for us. This is the 301, a Siemens Charger wrapped in the unique Day 1 livery. This black color scheme commemorates the last-minute livery that they slapped on locomotive 4316 when Amtrak began operations in 1971. We're being hauled by the 301, my favorite locomotive. Also, Chad's favorite locomotive. Chad, if you're watching, comment. Staff is available on the platforms, and they will assign you to a car based on where you are traveling to. We will be riding in an Amfleet 2 car, similar to the cars used on the Northeast Corridor, but upgraded to overnight standards. They have more comfortable seats than the Amfleet ones, with a huge amount of legroom. There are footrests, and this knob controls an additional leg rest underneath the seat. They recline back very far, they have blackout curtains on the windows, power sockets, reading lights, and ample overhead space for luggage.
Washington, D.C., this is train number 97. En route to Miami, followed by all scheduled to be stopped before at this time.
You know when being on the train when the phone cuts off, you be switching. That states.
Looking for restrooms, they will be located in the rear of the coaches. So if you turn around behind you, you'll see those 2 restrooms located in the rear of the train.
As we leave Washington Union Station, we enter into a tunnel known as the First Street Tunnel, which takes our train underneath the United States Supreme Court and around the Capitol building. We emerge into golden hour in the city, and almost immediately we leave the tracks owned by Amtrak and move on to tracks owned by freight company CSX. We will remain on CSX tracks for the remainder of our trip. Passing through the L'Enfant area, a hub of federal office buildings, we are on a line known as the RF&P subdivision. This is a historically significant railroad, but I've talked about it at length in a previous video, so make sure to check that out. We crossed the Potomac River over the Long Bridge, with some of DC's famous monuments visible from the right side window. We'll be back right here in 36 hours. Within 20 minutes or so, we are approaching our first stop of Alexandria, Virginia. Right around then, the conductor came to scan tickets. Here's what she had to say to me.
You was taking a picture?
Amtrak P18609 with 77 to 40, Alexandria, Amtrak North, Landmark.
She then gave me a really nasty look and waved her finger as if she was telling me not to take any more. Sorry, I don't know what to tell you. You can't really enforce a rule that doesn't exist. There's a whole industry of people taking pictures on Amtrak. We never saw her again, though. She spent the whole trip sitting in the cafe car. Speaking of which, the cafe attendant seemed in a much better mood.
We cannot store any medications in our refrigeration. That is an FDA violation. If we were to do that, they would take this whole cafe car out of service, and the attendant would be fired. And folks, we work here can't do it. You wouldn't believe all the attendants who have gotten in trouble messing around with Amtrak stuff. Bring up a bologna sandwich.
I have to say, though, the passengers sitting around us for the most part were great people. The guy initially behind me was super kind, encouraging me to recline my seat more, and the lady next to Lindsay offered to trade with me so that we could sit together. Now, this is a Trains Are Awesome video, and whenever we review an Amtrak train on this channel, we talk about its history. The Silver Meteor is an interesting train. It was launched in 1939 by the Seaboard Airline, one of the two main railroad companies connecting the Northeast with Florida. It used diesel-powered engines and streamlined cars. Back in those days, railroads marketed their trains in different ways, emphasizing things like speed or luxury. But the Silver Meteor was all about modernity. In fact, to show how modern it was, the first run departed from the World's Fair in New York. From New York to Northern Virginia, it used the Pennsylvania Railroad tracks. From there, it used the Richmond, Fredericksburg, and Potomac until Richmond, where it switched over to the Seaboard Airline for the rest of its trip. Its popularity led the Seaboard Airlines' main rival, the Atlantic Coast Line, to launch a similar service known as the Champion, also in 1939. The original Silver Meteor did not use the current route. In fact, today's Silver Meteor barely uses any of its original route. After Richmond, it used a now defunct line to Raleigh, North Carolina, then went through Columbia, South Carolina, Savannah, Georgia, and Jacksonville, Florida, before splitting into sections headed to Miami, St. Petersburg, and Venice. Well, in 1967, the Seaboard Airline and the Atlantic Coast Line, which were once rivals, merged into the Seaboard Coast Line. In 1971, Amtrak took over passenger rail service from companies nationwide, and they soon started shifting the route of the Silver Meteor onto Atlantic coastline tracks. For example, the original Silver Meteor never used to serve Charleston, where we're headed. That was served by its rival, the Champion. The sister train, the Silver Star, although technically it's called the Floridian now, does still use parts of the old, more inland route through the Carolina capitals. And the Silver Meteor has a daytime train too, called the Palmetto, which runs the same routes between New York and Savannah without any overnight sections. If we had gotten a room in a sleeper car, we would have been entitled to one of the excellent meals served in the dining car. Well, because we got on at 7:30 and we'd be getting off at 5, we'd really only be eligible for a late dinner. That didn't seem worth the extreme increase in cost. But not to worry, the Meteor is also equipped with a cafe car, and it just so happens to carry one of my favorites. Lindsay and I love this Asian noodle bowl, and it's only available on certain trains. The wait for the cafe was super long, so when I finally got it, I rushed to show her what I had gotten my hands on.
Quiet time, folks. Thank you.
Since the night was going to be very short, it's time to use the bathroom and get ready for some sleep. I found the toilets on this trip to be clean and in good working order, a relief on a trip like this, and not always guaranteed. Although it never ceases to amaze me the creative way in which Amtrak makes their bathroom faucets difficult to use.
Trying something new this time. Usually we don't bring pillows, but I don't know how it goes. I feel like I'm in a neck.
We reclined our seats all the way and were ready to go to sleep. At night, from 10 p.m. until 7 a.m., it is quiet hours, and they turn off some of the lights, they don't make any announcements, and talking loudly is prohibited. Unfortunately, some people missed the memo, and Amtrak staff, of course, was nowhere to be found. But thankfully, the great people around us kindly told the chatty Susans to keep their many words to themselves. It's 4:45 a.m., and we are at the North Charleston Amtrak station in South Carolina. About a half hour before, an Amtrak attendant had woken us up. And of course, we had also set our own alarms. Time to say goodbye to the beautiful locomotive. The Silver Meteor will continue to Savannah, Jacksonville, Orlando, and Miami. And it won't get till Miami until 6 p.m. tonight, 11 hours later. So we have made it to North Charleston, South Carolina. Perfectly on time, actually. I was almost hoping we'd be a little bit delayed for a little bit extra sleep, but we got here right at 4:45. We're waiting for a rideshare to take us into the city because the bus doesn't run for another hour. Those neck pillows were kind of a lifesaver, though. I feel like any way I lay in my seat, I was comfortable because of them. Not a sponsorship, but it was good. Thanks, Lindsay's mom. Although being in the shared spacing coach, not always ideal, but when you compare the comfort for the price, I really prefer it. We've actually tried roomettes and found that in some cases the coach seats are just more comfortable. And for $180 a person to basically sleep in a giant recliner while the train rocks you to sleep, I don't know, it's not for everyone, but it's my favorite way to travel. The Charleston train station is interesting. It opened in 2018, so it has many modern amenities. Clean bathrooms, vending machines, even a microwave. But my favorite part has to be the free museum, dedicated to the old station which was demolished and to the Atlantic coastline in general. Charleston Station is served by the Palmetto during the day, which was an ACL train, but the Silver Meteor, of course, was not. We entered Pineapple Fountain as our destination in Lyft, and our driver brought us right to Waterfront Park. Alright, so it is 5:40 in the morning, and we've made it to the real Charleston. We're in a park, and it's just us. What did you put in the rideshare again?
Pineapple Fountain.
Well, that's where they brought us. We're gonna go see the sunrise here. With the whole day still ahead of us, Lindsay and I just sat there, enjoying each other's company while listening to the birds and waiting for the sun to rise. Then it was time for breakfast. Luckily, we found a place that was open at 6:30 already. Charleston is one of my favorite cities in the United States. It was founded in 1670, predating the founding of the US by more than a century. I was having a conversation about this with a friend, but I find that my favorite American cities are those where you could almost forget that you were in an American city. There are old houses, narrow walkable streets, and lush greenery everywhere here in Charleston. Of course, the moment you need to leave the dense downtown, you are confronted with the all-American reality that getting around without a car is really, really difficult here. So some friends let us crash at their place, freshen up, drop our stuff, and now we're feeling re-energized back in the city. It's pretty amazing how many more people are outside when it's not 6 in the morning. Hey Lindsay, How are you feeling about our life choices?
Slightly debatable, but once I have more caffeine, it will probably be better.
We then went back to the place that our friends had rented to get ready for the wedding, which was fast approaching. And you'll be proud to know that even though the Airbnb was next to a railroad track, I was still the first one to get ready. Then, exactly 24 hours after my graduation, we were cheering on our friends on their big day over 500 miles away. After the reception, we made our way back to the North Charleston station, waiting for the Silver Meteor to take us back home to DC. Time to get in our Amtrak clothes. What a full and fun day we've had, seeing the sunrise, eating good food, hanging out with friends, and of course being there for our dear friends on their special day. Now it's time to go back to Washington, D.C., and so we're just going to take Silver Meteor number 98, which should be here in about half an hour. Okay, we are on the Silver Meteor heading back home, sitting next to each other, but we're really tired, so we're gonna call it a night.
Yeah.
With a northbound departure of around 10 p.m. from Charleston and a 7:30 arrival in DC, the way back, I would say, was more pleasant, since we could sleep some more normal hours. Once again, the Amfleet 2 cars proved to be excellent in comfort. There were no disruptive passengers either, which helped us sleep in peace. I woke up and we were already close to Alexandria. I got up to brush my teeth, and once my toothbrush and neck pillow were back in our bag, we had crossed back into the district, and our super eventful weekend had come to an end. Looking back, this was such a great way to spend a Saturday. Sure, we were pretty tired and looking forward to a restful day and a night in our own bed. But thanks to Amtrak, we were able to celebrate an important milestone in our own lives, one in our friends' lives, visit a beautiful city, ride a cool train, and not once in the past 36 hours did we ever have to stress or rush. Amtrak trips can be a hit or a miss, like every mode of transportation, but every trip is an adventure, even more so with a great group of subscribers like you along for the ride. At Union Station, an electric locomotive was waiting to take this train to New York, but we didn't stick around to watch the locomotive swap. We did see some cool cars like this sleeper car in the new Phase 7 livery, and this empty Amfleet car in the Phase 7 livery that apparently had been attached to the back of our train. Then I went to the bathroom at Union Station where somebody left their cup noodles, and now it's time for our final thoughts. And here we are, home sweet home, Washington Union Station. Well, we don't live exactly here, but close by. Thanks to Amtrak's Silver Meteor, we were able to take a very busy weekend and do all of it. So very grateful. How was your trip?
Amazing, and glad to have some caffeine.
It was an exhausting 36 hours, but luckily we still have the whole Sunday to get some rest. Anyway, thank you so much for watching. If you enjoyed this video, there's a pigeon walking right there. Please subscribe to Trains Are Awesome. We'll see you next time.